Friends, welcome to the Node.js tutorial segment of my channel. Let's Learn. So today we are going to discuss about how to connect our application with the database. So here in my application I am currently using MySQL as a database, and I am using Sequelize as a ORM tool to connect with the database by using the Node.js. So to utilize ORM to connect with the database, I have installed these two packages. So first package is the Sequelize, and Sequelize is an ORM tool. ORM means object relational modeling. So here if you are using this tool, it will reduce some coding and it will reduce the deep knowledge of SQL. So here you will interact with the database in terms of the object, not by using the directly writing the raw SQL queries. And MySQL 2 is a driver package, so it depends which database you are using. So here I am using MySQL, so I have installed this MySQL 2. If I was using Oracle, then I should have taken the Oracle here, Oracle npm package. So I have already installed these two packages, and so to start connecting with the database, first and foremost thing that we need to do is we need to establish a connection with the database by using the Sequelize. So these connections I have written for this. I have created one model folder. Under this model folder I have created index.js file. In this index.js file I have basically written the connections with the database by using the Sequelize. So if we go here, first thing I am taking the Sequelize and data type from this Sequelize package, and then here I'm creating one object from this Sequelize class, and in this object I am passing the database config. So this is my database name, this is my username, so I am using root user. So whatever username is yours, you are using in your database, you can provide that username. Admin is my password. Hostname is the localhost, because my database is installed in my system, that's why I have used localhost. But in real-time scenario your database will be installed in some remote server, so you will have to give the path or IP of that remote path. And dialect is the MySQL. So here, as I'm using MySQL database, so I have given MySQL. Suppose if you are using the Oracle, then you will have to give here dialect as a Oracle. So dialect, main purpose of the dialect is to transform your query based on your database. So suppose here you are not writing the direct queries. Okay, so suppose if you have used the MySQL as a dialect, then it will transform your query in terms of MySQL. Suppose if you are using Oracle, it will transform your query as per Oracle syntax. Now here this pool, here I am defining connection pools. So at once how many maximum connection can open and how many will remain live. So max is equal to 5. So this is saying that maximum 5 connection can be opened, and suppose 5 connection is open or all the 5 connections are being used, and if 6th request has come, then 6th request will have to wait till one connection is becoming free and available to the pool. Now minimum is 0, so if none of the connection is being used, then after certain interval all those connection can be closed. Acquire is equal to 30,000 milliseconds. So here while opening a connection, it can take maximum 30,000 millisecond time, and if it is going beyond that, then it will raise error. Idle is equal to 10,000 millisecond. So one connection can remain idle up to 10,000 millisecond. After that it will be closed. And then here I have defined one object db. You can give any name. In this db object I am passing this Sequelize object, whatever the Sequelize object is created here, this Sequelize object I am passing. And under db I have created one models object. Again, this name you can give anything. And here whatever the objects, whatever the models you are defining, all those models will have to be linked here. Okay, so what is models now? So models are nothing but a replica of your tables in the database. So here for this demo purpose I have just created one model, that is the user. I will go through it later. So before that I'm going through some code that I have written here. So above I have shown how to open the connections, but in some circumstances where some error has happened or where process is exiting, so in those cases we should gracefully close these connections. So that's why these things are needed. So here if process is exiting, then I'm calling sequelize.close to close this connection. Similar is the case here also when this sgnt signal is coming. Okay, the next, suppose if any unhandled exception is coming, in that case also we can close our connection. So this is for unhandled exceptions, uncut exceptions. Okay, this is unhandled rejection. Suppose from any promises we have rejected the errors, and there is no such handler for that rejection, then control will come here, and here also we are closing our connections. So in these situations where process is going to fail, in those situations we are closing our connections gracefully. Okay, now let us come back to the models. So as I have mentioned, model is nothing but the replica of the tables that we have created in our MySQL database. So I have created in my database, I have created one table, that is the user. So here if you see, this is the create table command through which I have created the user table, and here there are the three columns. First column is id, that is the auto increment, second is name, third is the email, and these are the few data that I have inserted there. Now let us go to this model that I have created. So here if we go, so this is the model, and in this model I am passing the Sequelize and data types. From where I am passing, so if you see here, while importing this model, that is require this model path, and then here I am passing Sequelize and data types. So this data types is basically defining the data types of each of the columns that you are using in your MySQL tables. So similarly you will define each variable, each attribute in this model with corresponding data types. Okay, so here it is coming. So I have taken this, I have defined here one user model, and then I am utilizing this object sequelize.define. This is the syntax of defining any model, this should be the same, and here I am giving my model name, and then here I am giving the column names. So these columns names should be same as it is in our database, and here type should be also same. Type is equal to data types. This is the data type that I have passed. Now data type dot integer, primary key, yes it is primary key, so primary key is equal to true, and auto increment is equal to true. So these things are defining this particular column. Now second is the name column. In name column it is of type string, allow null is equal to false. The third one is the email, it is also string type, and here allow null is equal to false. Now these are the columns. Now these columns is belonging to which table? So I have given here the table name is equal to users, and timestamp is equal to false. So if my table is not having any timestamp field, then I can mark it false. If my table is having few timestamp fields and I'm making it true, then it will insert the data there. Now I am returning this user models, whatever the object is being created, I am returning here. So this object I am keeping here under this db.model.users, and now I am exporting this. So here we understood how to create a connection with the database, how to create the connection pooling, and how to create the models. Now these models are being used in the service which are calling these models to interact with the database. So this is the user service. In user service I have defined three functions. One is the get users, that is retrieving all the users present in our database. The second one is the add user, that is inserting the users into the database, and third one is the delete user, that is deleting a particular user based on its ID. Now if you see here, to get the users it is using find all. So if you see here, we are not writing any SQL query like select a star from user table. We are not writing that query. We are simply calling Sequelize function, that is find all, and in the background it is running the select a star query from the table name, and it is giving us all the users present in the our table. Similarly here we can use find one, and if we are passing any primary key value, then it will give that particular user. Now add user. So in add user again here we are not writing any insert query. We are just passing here user objects means data of all the columns present in that table, and then we are simply calling user.create, and it will insert the data and it will return here the inserted results. Simply the third one is the delete user. Here also we are not writing any delete query, we are just calling user.destroy, and then where we are passing the primary key. So this is how we are not writing any raw SQL query, but our work is being done. So this is the service class. Now these service class are being used into the controller files. So if you see, these are the controller files. So one is the get users. Get user is taking the parameters, three parameters basically: request, response, and next. And here I have imported this service class, and now I am calling here get users, here add users from the add user controller, and from delete user function I'm calling the delete user. And here it is taking request, response, or next, because I am using these controller function as a middleware in my routes. That's why I am passing request, response, and next, and I am calling here the next function. And whatever the result is coming, that result I am saving into the response object. Okay, so now let us go to the route. So if we go to the route, so this is the route file, and if we see here, so this is the users, where that is returning all the users, and under users it is calling user controller dot get users. So from here control will go to the get users, so control will come here, and from here I am calling the service function, that is the get user. So from here control will go to this function, and from here it is calling the user dot find all, and it is returning the data, and finally data will come to this place, and then here I am returning the response, that is status is equal to success and result is equal to this result I am returning. Now one more thing that we need to do in our app.js file regarding this Sequelize connectivity. So that is needed because we have created the Sequelize configurations in index.js. Here we have created all the configs, but we have not initialized it. So we need to initialize it in our app.js file. So to initialize it, what we need to do, we will have to import this model folder, because under model folder index.js file is there, and index.js file in any folder by default it comes in the require statements. We can also write here index, but as the name is index, so it's not required. If the name would have been something else, then we need to write. Okay, now dv is coming, and then this line is must to write, because this is basically initializing our Sequelize configuration. It is syncing whatever the models we have created, it is syncing those models with the database. So this is a very important line. So if we do all these things, that means our Sequelize connections is done, and now we can trigger our routes. So let's trigger our routes and see what is happening. So first route I am going to trigger is the get user. So if I am triggering it, get users, so it is giving me the data. This data it is giving with the ID 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now I am calling delete. So delete users I am calling. So under delete users, suppose I am passing the ID is equal to 3. So here it is success, results is equal to 1. Now I am passing 4, ID is equal to 4, result is equal to success. Now let us trigger again get users, and let's see what we are getting here. So if I am triggering it again, so here if you see how we are getting only one record, that means we deleted 2 records. Now let's add 1 record here. So here I am adding 1 record. Let's see, I'm making it something else like x, y, z, and then I'm calling submit. So if you see success and this is the result, that means this row got inserted. Now if I am calling the get users, now I should get 2 records. So if you see here, I am getting 2 records. First one is the Jitendra, second one is the XYZ. So that's how we can establish the connections with the database, and Sequelize will work here. So this is all for today. Thanks for joining here. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and press the bell icon to get the notification of more such video.